In this video, we're going to listen to the second part of the world music questions, and it's another 6-mark question for B2, and it seems like it's not a lot of marks, but you have to work for every mark in this question paper. Now let's see here. We have written our main melody there, which is played by a number of instruments, and it's shown here. And now let's read through the questions. The first question is about briefly describe the dynamic effects in this extract for 2 marks. So the dynamics in the beginning, maybe that changes along the way, and what happens after that. Describe how the different melody instruments perform the printed melody. So this melody that you see here, we will have different melodies or instruments playing this. Now it can be higher, it can be lower, it can be legato, it can be staccato. It can be blown instruments, it can be a string instrument that's plucked. So we'll see just now, or hear just now, what happens there. And then the same end question as the previous one. Where does this music come from? And apart from the instruments that are used, give a reason for your answer. Okay, so let's listen to the music now. We see it's got a key signature, so let's listen what happens here. It's quite a while.
Now listen to music B2 and answer the questions.
Listen to the dynamics there. Describe how the different melody instruments perform the printed melody. At the end, I hear something that's blown. Okay, and then I think you've got an idea where this music comes from. Apart from the instruments that are used, give a reason for your answer. So let's listen to this music again. Melody. Now the second time, listen for things that you can immediately fill in, like the dynamics, how it starts,
Music B2,
what happens in the middle.
Play.
Listen out for the instruments. Maybe you hear the texture. Now let's discuss the first 4 marks while we hear that in the background. Okay, pianissimo, very quiet, piano. Okay, so listen whether you hear what happens there. Maybe it changes with the gradually going louder, gradually going quiet. So read through that while you listen to the music. Briefly describe the dynamic effects in this extract. So decide how it started and whether it changed. And I know that it ended quite softly. Okay? Describe how the different melody instruments perform the printed melody. So how many instruments do you hear there? What kind of instruments do you hear and how are they played? Do we have string instruments? Do we have flutes, drums? Are they plucked? Are they blown into? Are they struck? Are they bowed? If you know the name of the instruments, name the instruments. Do we have a main melody or is this performed heterophonically? Do they play the same melody? Do they start at the same time? Do you hear high and low pitches? And I think that will help you with your answer. And then for the next 2 marks, where does this music come from? Apart from the instruments that are used, give a reason for your answer. So if you recognize the instruments in question 14, okay, you don't name instruments now. I think we can rule out gamelan music. We can rule out African music. It doesn't sound like the music of the Arab world. China maybe, Japan maybe. Indian music, not actually, no. Latin America, we know that's not that. And I think that you realize that this music is the music of China. It comes from Asia, it comes from China. Now let's look at possible answers, whether you have that correct. Now the instruments that you need to know is the chin, and it's a guitar-like instrument that is plucked. Then I had the dizi, the bamboo flute that is blown into, and I had the violin-like, fiddle-like erhu that I play with a bow. How is this music typical Chinese? I heard the pentatonic scale there. We heard regular phrases. The phrases were repeated. There was syncopation. In this instant, it was not homophonic. We had heterophonic because they all played the same melody, but they played different times. Okay, we heard no chordal harmony, and there was a lot of ornamentation. So let's look at some of the characteristics: the melody, improvised quality to the solo, ornamentation. We have repeated melodic fragments that we heard here. We heard regular phrases here. We heard repeated melody. Okay, it's not false. It's not dissonant. It's neither major nor minor, but it feels diatonic. Okay, the texture here was heterophonic. We identified the 3 instruments and the rhythm shorter rather than longer notes. So let's look at the answers. The music starts at a moderate volume, so quite soft, and then diminuendos goes quieter towards the end. Okay? So moderate volume, mezzo piano, and then it went softer towards the end. 3 instruments play heterophonically. 1 instrument plays shorter repeated notes. That is the chin. And then the flute played mostly the written art instrument. That's the dizi. And then we had the erhu that played the lower notes. It's from China. We heard the pentatonic scale there, regular phrase lengths, and we have repeated phrases. I like this video a lot because then you can clearly hear the different instruments. And the Chinese music has got a nice flowing line to it. It uses the pentatonic scale. And lots of repeated phrases. Now this is the erhu. Looks like a fiddle, and it's got quite a low sound. You hear all those pitch bending and gliding. That's part of the characteristic of Chinese music. Lots of vibrato there. It sounds as if it doesn't have a major or minor key, but it's still tonal music. The chin, the plucked string instrument. You hear the pitch bending there. I also have that in Indian music, but the Indian music is more metallic. This is more flowing, softer sound in the Chinese music. Lots of repeated notes there. So the ornamentation is very important in the Chinese music. There the strings are plucked. You hear that roll there. So the pentatonic scale, the pitch bending and the ornamentation you heard there. Also very repetitive phrases I heard there a lot. So I hear the erhu there. And the chin I hear there. Pitch bending you heard there. Percussion instruments I heard there. Lots of embellishments there. Very flowing. So when you work through these questions here, make sure that you understand dynamics. Make sure that you understand what to write down about instruments, and that you also revise your Chinese music with the three instruments, the dizi, the erhu and the chin. Understand the Chinese music better now.